Welcome to Midnight Pavilion. Loose folk horror stories for you. When you walk past a fast food restaurant late at night, have you ever considered these 24-hour places? How many secrets you can't imagine? A remote store, Silent Teresa, and the unknown hidden in the dark. These seemingly ordinary places, there may be some kind of unspeakable horror. Today I'm going to tell you a story about a man, high school students who work for a living. He's at a suburban fast food restaurant, started his night shift. I thought it was an easy part-time job. Unexpectedly, what awaited him was a life and death test. Weird night shift rules. A terrifying creature lurking in the dark. Every choice can be the limit of one life. The code has only one purpose: to keep you alive until dawn. But here's the thing. Can you do that? So light up now, please. Close the door and get ready for this impossible. The spiritual is back. The night wind reveals a piercing meaning, with the sound of wheels crushing through the sand. In the air, it seems to be filled with an invisible sense of oppression. 17-year-old me in the driver's seat, hold the steering wheel with both hands, trying to steady your breathing. The pitch-black countryside in front of me. The path seems to have no end, and my mood, but it's like carrying a heavy stone. I am a senior high school student. He was not wealthy. The financial situation of the parental class made me realize, want to go to college? I can only rely on myself. Those expensive tuition fees are like mountains. I can't breathe under the pressure, and working part-time became the only way out. But even so, I still can't hide my inner unease. I'm not a night owl fit to work late at night. I've always felt like a sunrise. The person who rests at sunset. It's like the brain is turned off at night. Inefficient. Under tremendous real-world pressure. I had no choice. I convinced myself. This night shift job at a fast food restaurant. Just a simple opportunity. This store in the suburbs. It seems to be for out-of-town tourists. Stay away from crowds. Maybe there are a few customers. This way I can not only finish my homework, beware of sleeping thieves. Kill two birds with one stone. Besides, I'm a vegetarian. Fast food restaurant job seems to be tailor-made for me. I fantasize about how relaxed the nights on duty are, even some expectations. However, when the beam of lights, while gradually sweeping through the fast food restaurant, my expectations have quietly collapsed. This store looks very different from what I imagined. The old exterior walls were covered with peeling paint. The brightness of the sign flickers, like a candle that can go out at any time. The emptiness and silence around me was unsettling. Only the wind whispers on the sign outside the temple. The parking lot was empty. Not a single car. You can't even hear the birds. I smoked the car, went groping out of the car, inadvertently looking up. The darkness around seemed bottomless, and for a second, I felt something was wrong. I always feel like someone is staring at me. I take a tentative look around, just when I was about to give up, noticing the grass in the distance. A pair of light dots vaguely flashed. Not a pair, but several pairs. They are like the eyes of an animal, but that cold. The hollow sheen makes my scalp tingle. Those eyes are motionless in the dark, like losing something. I quickly bow my head. Urge yourself to calm down. Anne laughed at her own nervousness. It's just a bunch of wild animals. Maybe the road. Or don't mention anything. And I was struggling in a low voice, but found his fingers, trembling involuntarily, and I walked quickly to the door, trying to get rid of those inexplicable unease. The glass door at the door is covered with fingerprints and fuzzy stains. The moment you open the door, a stale smell of grease, mixed with the smell of disinfectant. I can't help but frown. You are new here, right? A hoarse voice came from behind the counter. I looked up. A middle-aged man is standing there, with a yellow fast food restaurant. Wrinkles on the face. It looks deeper in the dim light. His eyes are empty, with exhaustion, but the corner of his mouth barely squeezed out a polite smile. Yes, I'm reporting tonight. I reluctantly cheered up and responded, and he kind of nodded. Didn't say much. Turn around and take me inside. I noticed that his pace was a little stiff. Sole dragged out on the floor. The creaking sound echoed in the empty store. The store was deserted, only a few flashing beverage machines, and a lonely dining table. Seems deserted and eerie. It's quieter here. No one comes at night. And he sort of explained, it's like sensing the doubts in my heart. I tried to squeeze a smile. That's a good response. I like silence, but my heart is beating a drum. The silence here is too eerie. It made me wonder, has the air solidified? So I take a breath. Try not to think too much. After all, being able to get the money is the most important thing. I don't know why. I always feel like something is watching me in the dark. Seems to be waiting for something, or wait for me. Just as the manager introduced me to the work area, I can't help but look back again, looking out through the glass window. The parking lot outside is still empty, but the grass seems to be closer to Xi'an. The blips are gone. The darkness is flowing like a fire mist, as if lurking. Bide your time, and I seem to be getting caught step by step, dragged into some unknown abyss. The back kitchen of the fast food restaurant is more rudimentary than I thought. There are some unwashed tools stacked next to the oil pan. The beverage machine emits intermittent, low sounds. The manager stood opposite me, staring at me silently, as if something was brewing. The equipment in the Drexel area is actually not complicated. He suddenly spoke. His voice was husky and deep. The ice cream machine is here, a frying pan for chicken nuggets and chips. The operation of the beverage bar is also simple. I'll show you. His tone was cold and mechanical. It's like completing a routine formula. I followed his instructions to become familiar with machine operation, but the whole process, I still think his expression is a little stiff, like hiding something, just as he was about to turn away. His footsteps suddenly stopped, and I took a deep breath, like a great deal of courage. He turned around. You look at me with complicated eyes. In those bloodshot eyes, it exudes an indescribable exhaustion and fear. I know it sounds ridiculous, but there's something I have to tell you. His voice became low and trembling. Work here, especially the night shift. You have to follow a code, no matter how much you don't believe it. Even if it's just a joke, be sure to do. Otherwise, you may not see the sun tomorrow. The sudden remark made me feel uneasy. I asked tentatively the rules. What do you mean? The manager did not respond immediately. He pulled a handful of papers from under the counter, handed it to me. It was a crumpled piece of paper. It says night shift in red ink, code in big characters. The edges seem to be scalded, leave glue marks. Before looking at this, I need you to understand one thing. He lowered his voice. There was a tremor in his tone. These hands are not meant to scare you. Those who don't listen, it's all gone, he said, and took his phone out of his pocket. Pull out some pictures and hand them to me. I thought it was just some ordinary employee files. But when I looked down at the photo, the power surged in an instant. The people in the photo are all young people, mostly in the uniform of this fast food restaurant. Fear was written all over their faces, eyes away. Some people are even mutilated, blood world. Scratches and twisted limbs take up every photo. Background. You can still vaguely see the Dresso area of this store. What happened to them? I barely spoke. The voice is dry like sand rubbing. They violated the manual. The manager's face darkened a bit. They get deeper. Some people don't believe. I thought I could escape, but no exceptions. I looked into his eyes, trying to find even the slightest sign of a joke, but I only saw deep fear. That fear, it seems to have been rooted in his bone marrow. Can't get rid of it. My hands trembled as I opened the sheet of paper. Red ink is like coagulated blood, exudes a disturbing smell, and there are a couple of rules. Each one is full of absurdity and oddity, to ensure that the lights in the Detroit counter area stay bright at all times. Some kind of terrifying creature lurks nearby. Once the lights go out, he'll attack you when you let down your guard. In the surveillance screen, if a black Range Rover Evoque appears and the windows are completely opaque, please do not talk to the owner. Ignore his threats and shouts. He will leave on his own if you talk to him. He will rush through the window, tear you to pieces. After triplet, it is forbidden to open the frozen potato bag and use the oil fruit. The scent of French fries attracts unknown creatures nearby, lead to irreversible disaster. If you hear someone calling your name from behind, please lie down immediately and close your eyes. You may feel your teeth brush against your skin, or a paw touching your head. Hold still until I heard evil laughter. Indicates that he has left. If there is no surveillance screen, if an eyeless little girl appears, please lock the door and turn off the lights immediately. Waiting to scream, turn on the light and continue to work. After the sound of scratching, the door disappears. 6. When I hear the meal coming to life, don't go out to check. Dinner is locked at night. Any sound is a disguise for some creature. If the light goes out on its own, cut off a toe or finger immediately. Put it on the counter. You're going to hear whispers and chewing, and then the lights came back on. If the cut part is still there, pray it will end you quickly. 8. Don't fall asleep. You don't perceive danger when you're asleep. They could easily take your life. After reading this code, my mind went blank. The edges of the paper seemed to be inexplicably moist, like soaked in blood. I tried to explain it all rationally, but experience a serious look. But I can't convince myself at all. These are real, I asked in a weak voice. What do you think? Manager asked. His tone was cold, but firm. I don't need you to believe. I just need you to do it. If you were alive tonight, you'll know if he's real. He tapped me on the shoulder. Turn away. I watched him fade away into the dim light, a chill in my heart. I also realized at this moment, the job is not as simple as I thought. The truth behind those bracelets, open your mouth like an abyss, waiting to swallow me up. I look around. The light of Drexel has a faint rhyme, can't seem to completely dispel the darkness. And in a dark corner, I seem to feel something is staring at me. The first hour of the night shift was uneventful. It's terrifying to be quiet all around. Only Drexel. The light bulb above the counter made a low humming sound. Seems to imply this lonely space still has life. I sat behind the counter, reading the news on your phone. trying to get rid of the distractions in my head. But no matter how hard I try, every rule of that code, still echoing in my mind, like a thorn, keep reminding me of what's unusual tonight. Lights must be kept bright. No black Range Rover in Drexel's driveway. These words come up again and again. The more I thought about it, the more ridiculous it seemed. Did such a thing really happen? Maybe it's the manager's prank. He just wanted to scare the newcomers. Absurd, I whispered to myself. This is just to get me to work hard. However, there is a lingering unease in my heart. But it made me subconsciously start to pay attention to the surveillance screen. Through the monitoring screen, everything in the driveway is eerily still. In the darkness in the distance, there is an occasional faint wind. But in the corner of the screen, I noticed a hazy shadow. He was hiding at the edge of the grass. The outline is not very clear, but they don't look like normal leaves. I look at the screen, try to see more details, but the more I settle, the more I feel suffocated. Alumni with an invisible hand is slowly tightening my throat. Just as I turned around to check the drink machine, the screen of gold and silver air suddenly switched. I instinctively looked back. A figure appeared on the screen. A little girl is standing at the end of the driveway. She was wearing a crumpled dress, hands hanging by your sides. The creepiest part is, her eye sockets are empty, pitch black, no breath of life. That moment, my breathing stopped. It's like I'm frozen. I try to convince myself it's just an illusion. Maybe it's a malfunction of some kind of monitor. But I soon realized it wasn't the screen. The little girl moved. He raised his head slightly, although there are no eyes. But I could feel him looking at me. Then his mouth slowly opened, made a low, handsome voice. The voice was soft at first, but after a few seconds, it gradually becomes sharp and harsh. Like a sound wave pierced my ear, the glass window starts to vibrate slightly. The placards hanging on the counter kept shaking. I opened the bracelet in panic. Turn to that description. If the monitor sees an eyeless little girl for the first time, turn off the lights immediately and hide. No time to hesitate. I ran quickly to the switch, turned off all lights in the dries area. Then he hid under the counter. I hold my breath in the dark, trying to calm down, but the sound outside the door almost broke me. A loud crash came from outside the wall, like something trying to tear the building apart. The sound of rapid footsteps ducked back and forth at the door, accompanied by the handsome voice of the little girl and husky growls. He seems to be searching for something, or looking for me. Handsome voice, suddenly raised to an unbearable decibel. The screams pierced my eyes and ears. I cover my ears tightly, but the sound seemed to go straight into my brain. I gritted my teeth. Dare not make any sound. Just when I thought I couldn't take it anymore, the sound from outside stopped abruptly after a few minutes, and I peeked out from under the covers. Everything in the dark is calm again, out in the Drexel area, devoured by darkness again. I stood up trembling. Turn on the lights quickly. The entire space is once again shrouded in faint light. I hold on to the counter and take a deep breath, but I found a churning in my stomach. The stress and fear just now finally overwhelmed me. I threw up at the counter. The sour water in my stomach splashed on the floor while I was cleaning the floor. A faint laughter came from the meal. That voice is soft, delicate, like several people talking in a low voice at the same time, mixed with 4 or 5 chuckles, or freeze. Rule number 6 pops into my mind. If you hear life coming from the dining area, don't go out to check. Any sound is a disguise for some creature. I tried to calm myself down. Tell yourself that voice doesn't exist, but they retire over time. The laughter gradually became clearer. It's like having a group of people whispering in your ear. The private content is vague, but it makes my scalp feel numb. To avoid being seduced, I quickly took my earphones out of my backpack, turned it to the maximum volume after wearing it, reading all the sounds of the outside world with music, and my hands were shaking. Although the music in the earphones is loud, I can still feel it. That eerie chuckle seemed to be approaching me. Back to the counter. Try to focus on the task at hand. Distract yourself with homework. However, this approach did not reduce my unease. I always feel something is staring at me. Time goes by little. My eyelids are starting to get heavy. The fatigue gradually welled up, but Rule 8 warns against falling asleep. Remind in mind. I keep telling myself I have to stay awake. The darkness outside the window is getting thicker and thicker. There was a faint commotion in the grass in the distance, like something is slowly approaching. In the stillness of the night, this fast food restaurant is no longer a safe haven. It has become an island, isolated from the outside world. I can feel something waiting for me to make a mistake. Time passed in eerie silence. I tried to focus on the surveillance footage. Try not to think about the horror you just experienced. But just as my spirit was about to break, a beam of high beams suddenly appeared in the surveillance screen. The lights come in from a distance. Get closer. I squinted at the vehicle. The outline is getting clearer and clearer until they stopped in front of Drexel's order window. A black Range Rover Evoque. My heart is bursting with dust. The second warning of the code. It popped into my mind almost instantaneously. In the monitoring screen, if a black Range Rover laser model appears, and the windows don't transmit light, please do not talk to the owner. I hold my breath. Watch the car through the surveillance screen. His car window is really dark and reflective. I can't see the people inside at all. I prayed to myself. He just came around here and left. But the idea had just arisen. There was a harsh knocking sound outside the window. Hey, a voice suddenly sounded, rude and angry. I went numb. A cold sweat welled up behind him. The voice was a man's throat, but with a weird unnaturalness, like something imitating human speech. Are you deaf? I'm ordering, he shouted. There was an undisguised irritability in his tone. I hold on to my words. Tell yourself to follow the rules. Can't respond. But his voice grew sharper, even with the loud bang on the door. If you don't come out again, I'll smash your broken electricity. Did you hear that? The sound goes up and down, with a harsh hollowness, like an old gramophone playing out of control. The body is shaking slightly, like a driver. Losing my mind in the car and slapping the window. I bit my lip. Force yourself to ignore him. Eyes fixed on the screen. 10 seconds? 20 seconds. Time has become so long. Finally, with a lifetime of harsh tire friction, the car jerked around. Fly away. Disappear into the smoke. I slumped in my chair. The sweat on the back has soaked the uniform, although he has left, but I can still feel it. His chest was tightly gripped by an invisible pressure. Out of breath, I haven't had time to calm down. The light above suddenly flickered a few times, then completely extinguished. Darkness instantly engulfed the entire Dresso area. There was a deathly silence. There was a buzz outside my head. The content of the code period immediately came to mind. If the lights go out on their own, cut off a toe or finger immediately. Put it on the counter. God, no way. I mumbled to myself. There was an involuntary trembling in his voice. I tried to press panic. Fumble for the switches around you with your hands. But no matter how you press, the lights didn't reply. I feel vaguely. Something is slowly approaching in the dark. Time is running out. The code's warning is like a cold dagger into my mind. I gritted my teeth. Pick up the cutter by the counter. Hands are shaking. It's almost impossible to hold. Don't think too much. Don't think too much, I said to myself. His deep fear drove me crazy. Just then, a low roar came from outside the hall. The sound seemed to come from some huge beast, deep and menacing. His voice is getting closer. It seems to remind me that time is running out, and I put my foot up on the counter. Close your eyes. Give it a good stroke. Drama. The intense pain pierced my God like an electric current. I couldn't help but make a muffled sound. Blood gushed out in an instant, dripping on the floor. Shivering, I put my severed toe on the counter, almost slumped on the ground. After a few seconds, the roar outside stopped abruptly, and this is going to be a weird dripping river. The sound of something chewing on flesh and blood. The sound was very clear. It's like someone tore a piece of raw meat in front of you, with the smell of blood and the subtle focusing sound. There's even a snicker in my ears. The sound is soft and slow, like mocking my unhelpful fear. I hid behind the counter. Hug your knees tightly. Dare not make any sound. There was a fishy smell in the air. The smell made my stomach turn again. After a long time, the light suddenly came back. The entire Drexel region, once again shrouded in the light of the idiot lamp. But my heart is still shrouded in darkness. I endured the pain. Look up at the counter. The engraved toe is missing. At this moment I don't know if I should breathe a sigh of relief, or should I be more afraid of that thing eating him? And I survived for a while. Broken foot sunshine spilled into the store through the glass of the Deliso counter. The gray light makes the whole space. It looks so calm and desolate. I'm sitting on a chair, back against the wall, soaked in cold sweat after a night of torture. The body and mind are already exhausted to the limit, but seeing the first ray of morning light, I breathed a sigh of relief. Got through it, I mumbled to myself. The voice is as weak as dust in the wind. My toes are still tingling, but compared to the world that survives, that pain is insignificant. Footsteps were heard outside the gate. The manager pushed the door open. When he saw me, a strange expression appeared on his face, like a sigh of relief. It's like being grateful for something unknown. Nice work, son. There was a rare sincerity in his tone. You are one of the few who follow the rules strictly. You survived tonight. And I looked at him, mixed emotions rolling inside. Angry, puzzled, even a little sober. I don't understand why he is so calm. Never even seemed to worry about my comfort. What the hell is going on? I can't help but ask. There is exhaustion in the voice. And angry, why not call the police? Why am I facing these monsters? He was silent for a moment, as if weighing whether to tell me the truth. In the end, he just said one meaningful sentence. Something. The police are powerless. This store belongs to another world. I clenched my teeth. I have questions in my head, but I didn't have the strength to ask. I just shake my head, offer to resign without hesitation. I'm done. This job is not worth it. Unexpectedly, he wasn't surprised or angry. Instead, he showed a pleading expression. don't rush to decide. You are one of the few people who can survive the first night. I'm willing to pay you double your payroll tax. Even more, as long as you stay. And I was stunned. What does double payroll tax mean? This money, it was really good enough to pay for college. But thinking about the fear last night, those monsters and weird rules, I subconsciously shook my head. Why don't you work the night shift yourself? I asked coldly. The manager's expression is slightly consistent. There was a flash of unease in his eyes, but soon covered up the past. I have other duties, he said. His tone was stiff, and I had a night shift experience. I almost didn't survive that night. His answer deepened my doubts. But now, I just want to get out of this weird place. Under the observation of experience, I dragged my tired body home. The sun shines on my windowsill. Everything seemed calm. Familiar room. A soft mattress comforts me. But the memory of last night lingers like a nightmare. I sat by the bed. Take off your shoes and socks. Prepare to clean the wound on the foot. However, when I looked down to check, my mind went blank. Toes are intact. No wounds. There are no traces of being cut off. Not even blood. I vividly remember the pain from last night, cutting sharp touch. But now the toes, as if nothing had happened. It's impossible, I thought to myself. Breathing becomes rapid. Is the memory of last night untrue? Or is everything I see now an illusion? My fingers trembled as they touched my toes. Confirmed that he is indeed still there. But just then, a small voice came from the room. Black Fork. The protagonist's name? A low and hollow voice came from my ears. That familiar voice makes my scalp tingle. He slowly lengthened the tone, with a kind of weird smile, like the unknown burglary outside the hotel counter last night. And I snapped back, looked to the corner of the room. A small figure stood there. He was wearing a crumpled dress, hands hanging by your sides. That empty face was pointed straight at me. Empty eye sockets. It's like the darkness is moving. It's the little girl he covers her eyes with. He has no holes. The body is carved in the dark, but I feel it clearly. His presence is encroaching on my entire consciousness. That disgusting meaning. From the soles of the feet to the back. He suddenly took a step forward. The footsteps were as soft as a feather falling to the ground. But at this moment, I can't control my emotions anymore. My screams filled the room. The picture came to an abrupt end in my scream. It was last night's code that saved me. Or is some force teasing me? Why is the toe number intact? Why is the little girl in my house? The answer is like a fog in the dark. Cover it all. And I just seem to be. It's a pawn in this weird game.